Hello and welcome to another episode of The Woman I Dream to Be, which is offered to you by Women's World Club. Women's World Club is all about empowering women. And in this podcast, you'll hear inspirational and empowering stories of women who have made their incredible journey a success. Today on our podcast, we're hosting the really incredible Yasmin. She is an spiritual mentor, channel and intuitive guide. She channels multi-dimensional reading, messages, and healings. That is a really bombastic title. Here, I'm Karen, and with me, Meital. And Yasmin, over to you. Tell us, what are you doing?
Hi guys, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been an absolute honour to join you again on a different format. So as you said, I work with intuition, I work with soul and purpose, and I help people through empowering themselves, particularly women. The majority of my demographic is women, and I've got one simple motto: is I want everyone to win, whether that's in your personal life, in your business life, in your love life, wherever it may be, as a parent, as a mother, as a wife, as an individual, for your own dreams. I want everyone to win, so I can help you do it.
Amazing. Sounds like a good combination of success. Yeah.
Very good deal.
Yeah. That's incredible.
So how does it work?
How does it work? Right, so at the moment I'm doing a lot of work with centering women in their own presence, coming back to themselves, trusting their intuition, their gut, their instinct, their inner voice, knowing that they've got everything already inside them, and really coming back to that, because over the course of our lives we are born with everything, and then it's drummed out of us. You know, you're not good at this, you can't do this, we've always got restrictions, no, please don't speak, it's not your turn, we'll go to the, you know, the male in the party. And we've been led in a very male-dominated world, and in the last, I'm going to say about 20 years, and particularly in the last 10, there's been this huge movement of really the feminine, the female reclaiming their power. And I always say that when something is really powerful, that is life-changing, not for ourselves, but our environment and globally, and it's a threat to others, they calm the voice down, they shush the voice down. And that's what's happened with women's voices for centuries. So we're now in this revolution where we're finding that voice and really feeling empowered in who we are, without judgment of ourselves, and really with a lot of acceptance. And that's what I've been helping lots of women do right now, connecting with that inner voice.
That's amazing. It reminds me of the example of the elephant in the circus. The elephant is in the circus, is massive, is big, it can ruin the whole circus, the whole tent, collapse everything down. But it doesn't know that. Let's say she doesn't know that. Okay? She doesn't know that. It's only a small chain that holds her into that certain circumstances. But once she realizes that, everything can change. No one can shoot her anymore, right?
And I think that's the biggest thing, because we've been spending our whole lives handing over power, whether it be to governments or education or our partners, or, you know, and as women, we're multi-dimensional anyway. I mean, everyone is, but we are the wife, the mother, you know, the taxi driver, the cook, the provider. And when we become single mums, we become the mum and dad. So we're often wearing far more hats than men.
Absolutely.
Not to denigrate a man's role, but we're having to be many people. And through that process, we lose our identity.
Absolutely.
And then when, you know, you go through a breakup or something major, and you come back to yourself and you're like, what about me? Who am I? Like, this whole self-discovery journey, particularly with women in their early 40s all the way through to their 50s. And that's why I think most women, when they get to their 50s, feel much more content. So I'm 50 this year, and I feel more content and happy than I've ever felt, because I've had that learning and that rediscovery and reclaiming of self, and it is a journey. It's an exciting journey.
And whoever doesn't see you, well, you should take a look at Yasmin's Facebook or Instagram. She looks amazing. Not a day before, like 30. 35, okay? 35. It's just incredible. So you can really, you can see the radiation of this happiness within. And Yasmin, what's your Facebook and Instagram? Just so everybody who are very curious to see how amazing you
If you want to get me on Facebook, the best place to do is to follow my Facebook page. It's Yasmin Ibrahim Intuitive Guide and Channel. On Instagram, I'm at Miss Yasmin Ibrahim, and I focus a little bit on business, but I'm moving back to soul and purpose, which is, you know, connecting with your soul mission, and if you're wanting to, turning it into a business. So both aspects. And I just have to come back to that comment you said about I'm radiating and shining. It's really interesting that somebody said to me the other day, and it was a man, and he said, you get better as you're older. And I said, happiness shines.
Wow.
Yes. Age. It's like when you are happy, you shine differently.
Yes,
You
yes.
do.
And
Come
that's
from inside, and then
It doesn't matter what age you are. Okay.
yeah, totally. The age thing is irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
I don't like to tie age with being if I can help it,
Yes.
but I just think if you are content, if you're happy with yourself, if you're learning how to fulfill your own needs, and as women we really need to do that because we're constantly giving and giving and giving in so many ways.
We do.
Once we learn to fulfill that and we learn what our happiness set point is, you will absolutely shine and radiate that. So
I want to ask you, sorry, so how you discover it? Let's take, you know, a few steps back, just, you know, to understand your journey and how you discover it for yourself.
discovered connection, happiness,
The happiness, the inner inside you.
Oh wow, okay, so I was born very intuitive, psychic and medium. That I'm not unique to that, by the way. Everyone has it, everyone can do it, but some people are predisposed to it more than others, which was mine. But everyone is good. I think in all the thousands of people I've worked with, there's probably been 2 that haven't been physically able to connect. So I was thought of as the black sheep of the family, a little bit crazy, very rebellious. My parents didn't believe I was intuitively connected, so they thought me seeing, you know, ghosts as I thought they were, was pretty wrong. And I was brought up in a very dysfunctional household, from tradition to culture to religion. It all impresses rules on you. Whatever tradition, culture, or religion you're in, there is a set of rules that are meant for higher living, but also minimize you. You know, you don't go out, you don't mix with men. It's forbidden to talk to men. You have to dress a certain way. You also can't speak up because you're a woman. Give preference.
Any sets of rules?
Yeah, like loads and loads of rules. And it's particularly from my background. I come from an Indian background, so it's quite oppressive. Women do one thing, men do another thing. The roles are very defined, and if you break out them, you are absolutely a rebel, which I was. So I had this conflict of wanting to be a free soul and these set of rules. So my programming was saying, this is what you must do. My soul was saying, I want to be free, I want freedom, I want happiness, I don't want to do this. And they were polar opposites, and I did not know how to make them match. So I had some disastrous things happen in my life, from, you know, disastrous relationships, toxic relationships, you know, self-abuse, alcohol, drugs, suicide attempts.
Wow.
You know, quite a lot. That there was a lot of self-hatred because I didn't know how to make the 2 match. And also I really living up to expectations of parents that want you to be something. So in an Indian culture, you know, you have to be a doctor or an optician, or something that's credible, a lawyer or an accountant. And I had no interest in any of that. I was a creative. Intuitives tend to be quite creative. So, you know, I wanted to make clothes, I wanted to design, I wanted to draw, and my mum just looked at me and said, well, that's not credible. So already I was feeling not good enough because I was not matching the expectation. So in some ways I'd already given up. Fighting this resistance throughout my whole life of chasing the toxicity whilst feeling like I wanted to be free, and having that frustration of not really knowing how to do either very well. So my biggest reconnection, I like to call them spiritual slaps in the face. You know, when you have a dramatic event in your life that gives you a bit of a slap in the face and you're like, oh, I think I need to stop and listen. So mine was, I struggled with a lot of disease growing up, but I didn't pay attention to any of the signs. And then in 2012, actually no, before that, I was in a relationship where my husband turned out to be completely different to the character I thought he was.
Mhm.
Major deceit on many levels, ran away and left. He was 7 years younger than me, had a complex of being with someone older, ran away with a 23-year-old. My life fell apart. I then in 2012 got cancer, which was the next awakening where I thought, now I really need to reflect. Because when you think you're going to lose your life,
Yeah.
that's when self-reflection gets really big.
Yes.
You know, what have I done with my life to end up here, and why has it ended up here? So that was the, you know, big
slap in the face, a massive
big slap in the face. And then through the cancer surgery, which I flew through, no chemo, nothing, I did a lot of healing work on myself. My intuition was exploding again. They found a secondary tumour, which was benign but hereditary, apparently genetic. And it was huge. It was the size of a grapefruit, and I needed to go and have surgery to have that removed. Meanwhile, the dodgy husband, all of that exploded, and I lost my home, I lost my assets, I lost my money, my car, I lost everything. Another spiritual slap in the face. And they wouldn't operate on me until I had a safe home. So I had to pull my resources together, everything that I had left, and manifested hard. I had money come from unexpected places. Got myself into a new home, got ready for surgery, had the surgery, came through in intensive care, boom, the mediumship opened up. And I remember sitting there and saying to my boyfriend at the time, who are all these people in this room? And he said, there's no one here, darling, there's just the nurse. And I was like, no, there's loads of people here. And he's like, there's no one. And then when I came through the anaesthetic, I realised I could see all the people on the other side that crossed over.
Wow.
So with each awakening comes expansion.
Just the tumor out of you, and suddenly it opened up a new channel, very, very massively big.
Huge. And I laughed, you know, I was laughing because I kept saying there's people everywhere. How rude. Why are there so many? And why are they all around my bed? There's no privacy. But I didn't realise at that point, because I was drugged up and, you know, had coming out of the anaesthetic, I had a lot of morphine in me, painkiller and anti-inflammatories and wires and tubes everywhere. And it's only afterwards I realised what was happening, because they kept coming. So what these big things do in our life, and not everyone has to experience anything as big as I did. They can be varying levels. It's just because I ignored it. The more you ignore it, the louder it gets. I kept ignoring it.
Yeah, and that's a crucial thing. That's a crucial thing, because you need to, how can you be aware of something if you're not aware of it? You know, I mean,
there is really the red lines, you know, everywhere, but we just ignore them because maybe it's not big enough to stop and realize that we need to change something in our life.
So true. I mean, these red flags could be a breakup in your marriage. This could be having a child. This could be starting a new job. This could be losing a child. This could be anything, you know. It could be a relationship that you've just come out of that's very short but teaches you a lot of lessons. What we must learn, that everything we go through is a lesson. We've chosen it. So before this incarnation, we wrote our story, and we wanted to experience all of these things to reawaken us, reconnect us. And I ignored it for many, many years. And my awakening into this came kind of 2009, 2010. That's when I started reawakening. And then I had a series of awakenings. So awakenings never stop. I still have awakenings. It just means that there's a point in time where it's a trigger where you self-reflect and you think, I don't like my life, I'm not happy, I don't feel fulfilled, I want more. And there goes the journey of self-reflection and connection. And then just listening to that inner voice about really understanding what we want, because, you know, all of our lives we've been told, do this, do that, women don't do this, women must stay at home, women must be available to their children and work and be a good wife. Like, we have many hats to wear. It's a lot of pressure on women. And I don't necessarily think that men understand that. So I'm involved in an organisation at the moment driven by men about empowering women in many ways.
Wow, that's interesting.
They saw a gap in the market, and it was really interesting that I said that when I came out of surgery, my boyfriend at the time couldn't look at me because the surgery was so big. And my response was, this is the time I need you to look at me.
Yeah.
This is when I need you.
Yes.
And it's really interesting because the man of the organization I'm involved with said, you know, I wouldn't have really thought about that. And that makes me reflect upon my behavior of when I've been unavailable when my partner needed me.
Mhm.
So this is good. Like, we can talk about this.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
communication.
You know, and when I had that conversation, he had to really learn to get over the fact that he didn't find, he called it physical disfigurement, attractive.
Nice one. Oh,
Yeah, he didn't find that attractive. So I thought, you know what, I can only love it myself, and hopefully other people will see it back. And it's really interesting, the experience I've had with men and women, that, you know, when I'm on holiday and I wear a bikini, they're going, that's really attractive, your scar. Or even men, when I've got intimate, have said, this is precious, this is like a life tattoo, this is showing where you're
the
at.
birthmark in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of this builds us, but I had to come to peace with it first of all, to project that, because if I was the one hiding it, if I was the one going, no, don't look at it, don't like it, that's teaching the other person to behave that way towards
Exactly.
me. You know, so I had to, you know, love the cancer out of me. And I don't believe in fight. I don't believe in fighting disease. I don't believe in the resistance on it. I believe that if we put our body in a state of harmony, we heal much better. So I loved it out of me. I loved whatever was going on and learned it and met it and sent it
So
out.
it's not even accept this situation, it's to love it.
Well, you have to accept it first of all.
First,
and
yeah.
love it. Yeah. But acceptance in itself creates a massive shift. So some people are like, oh, I need to do massive deep healing work, and I'm like, well, why don't you just accept in the first place that it happened? Because awful things happen to us, right?
So this is the first step.
First step. Yeah, you must accept, whether you can, it doesn't mean that you like the thing that happened, it doesn't mean you condone it, it doesn't mean that it makes it okay, but you must accept first that it happened in our life. We live in denials, we push it away, so we never fully experience the experience that we're going through. So first, acceptance. And just sit with acceptance and see how that feels. You know, because it takes a while to do that. And one of the things that, you know, with people that have been disfigured, particularly women, I say to them, look at yourself in the mirror. And I often find women can't look at themselves naked, semi-clothed, in them, you know, in their reflection in the mirror, and be not judgmental about it.
Yes. Oh,
So
yeah.
we are-
There's a Dove.
Oh.
I don't know if you've seen that. There's a Dove commercial about women that describe themselves. We're going to post it later as well. They describe themselves to a painter, and he paints them accordingly. And the result is completely different the way they look.
That's
Completely
amazing.
different.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. Because
And there's a parallel one for men.
Exactly.
They describe themselves, and it's completely
different.
wow.
And now the question is, can you please tell me what you think? Do the women, do they look better in the drawings, or do the men look better in the drawings? What do you think?
I would actually say men probably look better.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
They describe themselves.
much like, oh my God, superstars,
Yeah.
heroes.
Yeah. But don't forget also, men are ego-led. You know, we're nurturers, men are ego-led. So
Yeah.
that's why if you put a man and a woman together that go for the same job, a man will say, I can do this job, whether he can actually do it or not. He will big himself up, he will back himself,
Yes.
he'll be giving it all the noises, and the woman will be like, well, I think I can do it. And
Yes, there's always an apologetic,
Yes.
apologetic statement about, yes, I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing, what you're describing is basically the awareness of the self, and asking myself, what do I need and how do I need it? You're not talking about a massive change. You're talking about a small change. Even the language, the non-apologetic language of saying, yes, I can do it. Yes, what I need.
Yeah, so you've hit the nail on the head with several things. Most of us actually don't know what we need. We think we need a hug, or we think we need more money, or we think we need a better job. We don't. We're chasing an emotion. We're always chasing an emotion. We're here as a soul in a human being to learn the experience of emotions and fulfilling those emotions. And the biggest emotion we're here to achieve is love and joy, playfulness, highest vibration, love, right?
Basic,
Love, wow.
right?
Love and joy.
And thank you for using that word, basic. Because spirituality, being a human being, getting happiness and joy is
It's a
basic,
being.
fundamentally basic, but we have lost the ability to be basic because we're trying to chase this shiny object, and we're continuously chasing the shiny object, because when I get that, I'll be happy, because when I get the car, and when I get the job, and when I lose the weight, and when I get a man, I'll be happy. That's not where it starts. So you've said it right there. What do I need? And I have a couple of questions I ask myself daily. What do I need physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Okay.
Everyone, are you writing this down? Write this down, everyone.
Yeah, write it down, write it down.
Can you repeat that? What are you asking?
So what do I need today, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? Okay. Now, you could fulfill all 4 aspects by going for a walk out in nature. That could give you the physical momentum that you needed. Emotionally, you feel relaxed. Mentally, it clears your head, because as you have a forward momentum with walking, it does that. And spiritually, you feel grounded to the electromagnetic waves of the earth. So that could be fulfilled, 4 aspects with one thing. One walk, bit of movement. It could be talking to someone. It could be getting the stuff outside of your head. Talk at someone. I often say that it's fine to have therapists, healers, and that kind of thing, but find someone you can talk at that's not going to offer you advice, that's not going to cast judgment, that's just going to hear you, because sometimes we just need to talk at someone to get it out, because once you got the nonsense out, the real stuff can get out, right?
Yes.
And the problem is, we're all here saying, have you tried this, have you tried that? And sometimes
everyone is good with giving advice.
Everyone. And you know, I've got few clients that are really struggling mentally, and I say to them, do you have a space where you can talk at someone? And they say no. And I said, well, come on then, use me, talk at me, say what you want to say. I'm not going to judge you with anything, just say exactly what you need to say. And they cry and they're in a heap, and afterwards we have a big hug and everything's all right, and they carry on in their day, and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much lighter.
Yes.
And you know, and that's why
ourselves,
yeah, totally. And that's why organizations like Samaritans and places you can call just to talk at someone are really, really required, because we don't want the answers. We just want someone to listen. They're very, very important. So what do you need in the day? Really important to learn to self-fulfill. And sometimes people will say, I don't know what I need.
Yes, so many say that. Many women we've spoken to, many say, what do we want? Because as you said, we have so many roles in our lives that we forget who we are. We forget to question ourselves, and we don't even know the answer.
Yes, exactly. So then what I say to people is, use your emotions as guidance. Okay, so very easy. So I think I need a piece of cake to cheer me up, so I'm going to eat the cake, and then I'm going to
all the time.
a high and a crash, and I actually feel stodgy and I feel rubbish. Actually, that's not what I need at all. What can I give myself that's going to nurture myself? So whatever action we do, the feedback, and you said it at the very beginning, feedback is really important. Do something, check the feedback. How do I feel? How does it make me feel? If it feels good, if it makes me feel alive and happy, all the high vibration things, you know, playful, compassionate, present, just vibing really high, I'm going to do more of that. If, however, the choice of anything I've made to do, i.e. I've chosen to meet someone and I don't feel good about it, if I've given too much energy to someone, it doesn't feel good, if my partner keeps telling me to behave in a way that doesn't feel good, then I'm going to try to come back to myself and say, how can I turn this round? So either I stop doing it by asserting a loving boundary, by saying, thank you so much for that invite, but I'm just not feeling it at the moment. I just need to keep my energy to myself. No more explanation needed. You know, you don't need to make a ton of excuses. It's just like, no, it just doesn't fit for me right now, but thank you, which is something I say often. And then find the thing that you need to turn it round with. So we really need to be aware of feeling the emotion. How does it make us feel? How does it make our body feel? Because if something doesn't feel good, you're going to close up. And if you're going to feel really like, oh, this doesn't feel good, you're going to start slouching. You're probably just going to eat food that doesn't make you feel good.
So physically, you don't. The body talks.
The body talks, absolutely. So again, we go back to feedback. How does it make you feel? If the things in your life do not feel energized, if they don't feel expansive and full of love and joy, we really need to learn to redirect our attention. And yes, that can be difficult, but I'm only asking anyone to do this one thought, one action at a time. You're not the whole life. You're not changing your whole life right now.
Exactly. No big
Just in the
changing.
moment.
One step,
Step at a
small
time.
steps.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really okay when someone says, can you do that for me? Or, you know, I'd like you to do this. And you'll say, well, hang on, I don't know how I feel about this. Can I have a moment to think about it? That's okay.
Yes.
You know, people respect you to say that, and people will respect you when you say no, and especially when you say it in a loving way, you know, and they soon learn how to be with you. The way that we communicate outwardly is how we teach people to connect with us. And therefore,
First, we need to connect with ourselves.
Exactly.
Because how do I know to say to someone, hold on, I don't feel comfortable about it? You know, there's a very, very big process that we're going through when we have an interaction with someone else. We not necessarily know all the time because we are on automatic pilot. We say, yes, of course, yes, let me go.
Or you feel that you don't have the confidence or the strength enough, you know, to say no, thank you. Because, because you know, I'm in the environment or in a situation that maybe it will put me in a light of not a nice guy, not whatever.
Or
So,
you want to answer someone else's needs.
yes,
Because you love them and you care about them.
So
but
you want to help them and you will do whatever, but actually it will put
damage
you,
yourself
exactly.
in a way.
both very good points. And I do believe that change occurs when you've had enough. You've got to have enough. So when people come to me and say, I really want to get out of this relationship, it's not fulfilling me, or I don't like the job, I'll often say to you, have you had enough yet? And they'll say yes. And then I then go through the guidance and I'll say, 1 means that actually I don't really care whether I'm in it or not, I can just do it. 5 is it does irritate me, but I haven't had enough of it yet to jump. And your 9 or 10 out of 10 is, I cannot bear it, this cannot be part of my life. So really understanding where you are on the journey also reflects back to you, again, feedback, how ready you are to create change. So therefore you don't put pressure on yourself to change when you're not ready. And it's okay not to be ready, just wait till you're ready, you know?
Yes.
It's okay to acknowledge that this is what I'd like, but at the moment I don't feel ready. What would you suggest I do to, what are my next steps to help me acknowledge my readiness, you know?
Yes.
And using the gauge from 1 to 10 and acknowledging how you feel daily about it, because, you know, we all hit an upper limit when we've had enough, don't we? We're all like, this relationship's done, I can't deal with this job, I've had enough, I've got to walk out, it's not making me happy. We all hit the upper limit, but we've just got to understand where we are on the journey. And the more ready we become, the more able we are to do that. And in the meantime, it's just baby steps to start feeling comfortable in wherever we are. That's the thing. Owning the power where we are, rather than saying, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to do this. And then, as you said,
everything collapses.
Speaking it is like, oh, I can't really say this because I don't feel empowered enough to say this. So where do you feel comfortable? Get really comfortable where you are, own that space, and then just edge out gently. And that's, I believe in building from what you have already, rather than always emphasizing the limitations and saying, I'm radically going to change. Radical change is not sustainable. You know, slow and steady with solid foundations in your comfort zone, easing out is far more sustainable. It will serve you much better. It is the perfect example. Karen, you'll know this because we've talked about this. It's like going on crash diets, you know, short-term diets can work, but you know, sustainable change compounded over a period of time is what makes the radical change.
Absolutely.
And 6.
Absolutely. And exactly the same. Diet is not a day, diet is a lifestyle. Totally. And now that's the really good phrase, actually. What do you want your lifestyle to be, and how much value can you add to that? Because sometimes we're aspiring to things without having value tags. Is something I use quite a lot. And a value tag is the benefit. Like, what benefit does it give to my health? What does it give to my wealth, my spiritual well-being, my ability to carry out my purpose? What does it give to my children? How do I appear to myself? How do I appear outwardly? And the moment you start putting value to anything you're doing, the value is so big that the little insecure voices start dropping away, because you're like, wow, actually, this has got a lot of meaning to it, rather than, I just want to get into a size 10 dress for Christmas. I'm going to binge eat and then I'm going to ruin it all again next year. There's not enough value attached to it. You know, and then we go back to emotions and feelings.
there's your guidance. How does it make me physically feel, and how can I keep that feeling for a long time? Because remember, I've come from a traumatic background. I couldn't sustain happiness. I did not know. It was happy one moment, depressed one, and there was no middle ground. And we need to learn to create that zero set point where we come back to every single time, that even being happy day in, day out, and being positive day in, day out is a survival mechanism, unless it comes naturally to you. And the middle point is I can be here and know how to sustain that. And that's where we need to get to.
And how do we get there,
Yeah.
Yasmin? Give us a tip, just one tip, something that we can do.
All right, so the biggest thing that you can do is, as I said, I'll give you a couple of tips, and then I'll show you how to connect with your intuitive voice, because that's
Let's do it. I'm getting ready, getting on my chair.
Because what we must remember, we're a soul having a human experience. There's a spiritual aspect of us, and there's a physical vehicle that soul sits in that has the experience. So we must recognize there's two aspects to this, okay? So I would definitely say use your emotions as guidance. Continually ask yourself on a daily basis what you need in a morning practice, whatever your morning practice looks like. And then learn to trust your gut instinct. A gut instinct is that instinct in the moment. An intuitive connection is something that can reflect in the past, in the present, and in the future. And here's a really, really easy way that you can connect with trying to get answers that are not connected to your brain, but are connected to your heart and your soul.
Wow.
Okay, very, very easy
to do it.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to ask everyone to do it with me.
Very powerful. Let's do it.
See what works. So let me explain it first of all. We are a human being and we are a soul, as I explained. In between the human being and the soul is a higher power, your higher being, okay? And the human being is like, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't know what I'm doing. The soul is, you can do it all, you've got it all, you know, it's all inside you. And the higher power is the bridge between the two that says, here's how I connect the two and show you how to do it, okay? So you're going to learn your signals with your higher power, and you're going to start with something really easy, and they're going to be yes, no questions. Okay, but first of all, you must learn what the signal for yes and no is. And the way to do that is to connect with the higher power. So if in this moment you take a nice deep breath and just let it go, sigh it out. Pop your left hand on your heart, because the left hand makes the connection to your heart, which opens up the right side of your brain, the intuitive side, opens up all the neural pathways. With your eyes closed, I would like you to just say out aloud, or in your head, however this works, higher power, show me my signal for yes. It might be a feeling, an emotion, a sensation, or something in your body.
I invite you ladies to do this exercise with us.
Yeah. So let's ask again one more time with your hand on your heart, eyes closed. Higher power, show me my signal for yes.
Higher power, show me the signal for yes.
And just observe, how does it feel in your body? Did you get something in your mind's eye that told you? Did your heart feel? Was there an emotion? Did it tingle? What happened? Was there lightness? Just register that and see. And if you're unsure about it, ask the question again. Say, higher power, make that signal big. What is my signal for yes? And then with you lovely ladies, if you can come back to me and tell me if you received a signal in your body in some way, or an emotion or a feeling or a sensation, let me know what yours was.
My heart rate was really high. I feel it in my heart, like.
Lovely. Nice.
I felt heaviness, like something closed down on me. It's very...
I feel opposite, you know, that
something. Yeah. Okay. Open. So let's try again, but with a no, and see if you get an opposing reaction. Okay. So again, hand on your heart, nice and calm. Take a breath, and you're going to ask, higher power, show me my signal for no.
Higher power, show me the signal for no.
So this signal should feel different from yes. Okay, and if you're unsure, ask again. Higher power, show me my signal for no.
Higher power, show me.
I feel like I'm choking.
Right, good, good. Okay.
I feel something in my stomach. I don't know what.
Yeah.
You're hungry. No.
Probably, but no, something irritates me.
Irritated. So the feeling's opposite. So you got lights and the feeling in your stomach, which is slightly irritated and lower, right? So those are the differences. And Karen, you got slight heaviness, but that might also be translated, I'm hearing, as presence.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. And then the no is a choking. It's like
Yes.
you can definitively feel the difference.
Yes.
And both of yours, Meital and yours, Karen, are very, very different. They're unique to you. This is really important, because just because you guys feel it doesn't mean that everyone should feel the same. We all have a unique signal to us, right?
Yes.
So here's what you can practice daily, but you must do it with things initially, at least for the first 2 or 3 weeks, with things that are non-attached. So literally you might go into the kitchen, you're like, I don't really know what I want to eat. So you put your hand on your heart and you say, higher power, do I want to eat breakfast? And you'll get a yes or a no. And you recognize those signals, right? Higher power, do I feel like eggs today? Yes or no? And you're going to feel that signal. So what you're doing is you're strengthening the bond with the yes-no connection.
Oh, wow. We are awakening the spirit in a way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the soul is so vast and the human is quite dense, the higher power is the connection point, the bridge between the two. Sometimes we're not ready to hear the soul voice because the monkey mind, the head voice is really so we're just going to jump in between and go to something that's in between and say, you tell me the answers. And just listen. And the more we strengthen that bond with the sensation, so Meital, yours was the lightness and the gut. The more you strengthen the yes, no with that, the more accurate it becomes. Then you can start asking really meaningful questions. And the reason I ask you not to do that from the off is because we might say, oh, higher power, is this man my soulmate? There's so much attachment to that.
Yeah.
There's so much pull to that. You're going to want the answer to be the right answer, and you want it to be a yes, right? But when you do it with everyday questions that matter less, you're practicing something without attachment, which becomes stronger, so that when you do apply it to something with attachment, it comes in super sharp. Because it's that muscle. So that's a really good way to connect with that inner voice. And even though you don't know what you need, as you become more practiced, that higher power question can become bigger. So you could say, higher power, what do I need today? You know, once you practice the muscle, and it might say, you just need to rest. Or higher power, I don't, you know, what exercise should I be doing? And often mine is just be gentle, because, you know, I for many years lifted weights and that was my thing. And now my body's just saying, be gentle. You get to start by being gentle. So the next thing is to learn to trust that.
Yes.
So you build the yes-no muscle with the higher power, and you start seeing the results from it. So like, you know, your higher power is telling you, yes, you need eggs today, or, you know, you need a smoothie today, and then you have it and you feel great. You're like, oh, thanks, higher power. That feels amazing. So you're just acknowledging and validating.
Yes.
It strengthens the connection. Very, very simple, very easy, but very, very effective. Very effective, particularly when you need to calm yourself down in a fear situation. So once you build that intuitive connection and you ask the questions, you can intuitively feel what feels true to you. We are going through a bit of an identity crisis and we're rebuilding our identities. So this is how you learn what is aligned to you by building that connection.
Exactly, because sometimes you have, I find it difficult to distinguish between a fear and a gut instinct, because a fear meant to protect us, but gut instinct also meant to protect us, but they're doing it in different ways. And I think what you've just described, this method, would help us actually to understand what fear is and what gut instinct is, and how we connect with the right answer for us, which is basically the gut instinct, isn't it?
Again, very, very valid point, because as human beings, our primary driver is safety, is to feel, you know, to feel safe. That's what we want to do. If we don't feel safe, that's when our mental health goes and our physical health goes, you know. But then again, it's just aligning with, if something is fearful and it's not making you feel safe, we've just got to acknowledge that and say, thank you. what would make me feel safe right now? What can I do to make myself feel safe and act in that? The biggest thing to turn low density vibrations and their fear, control, suppression, oppression, rules, all those things that push you down, that make you feel like you're compromised, like your wings are being clipped.
Yes.
And that freedom. Those are the things that you want to learn to switch. So take control of what you can, bring it back to yourself, and just give yourself what you can in that moment, because it's only moment by moment. When we start getting fear-led and anxious, we're projecting.
That is super important, yes. Moment by moment. That is super, super important.
All we've got, isn't it? The past is gone, the future's unknown. We've only got right now. So why don't we learn to control what we've got right now and take the power back just there in every moment. It's just like when you walk, you take one step and the other leg automatically follows and takes another. And that's what I'm just asking people to do, is take this moment, the next one will follow, and the next one will follow. It's going to happen. Just deal with whichever you can in that moment. And if you can't, reach out to someone who can help you.
Good example.
That is, wow, precisely. And it's such a powerful, powerful advice for all of us to learn. I'm going to practice it today. I'm not going to wait till tomorrow morning. You know, you say tomorrow. We need to start right now.
Yeah. Let me know how you get on, because I'm always interested in feedback with how it works, you know, because the more you trust your instinct and your guts, the more you're telling your body you trust itself, the more your body is able to do, the less limiting beliefs and blocks you have, you know, it just make what you have already so big that everything else becomes insignificant. That's all you have to do, is just owning what you are right now, not trying to go for the next shiny object, because that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Well, Yasmin, you've been in our past events and webinar, and every time I speak with you, I gain so much. Every time you say something, it opens up so many channels in my head. And I can never say never of having a chat with you.
Exactly, definitely.
But I'm sure I'm not the only one. So if someone would like to connect with you, what do you do with them? How can they approach you? What do you deal with? Tell all the others who don't know you yet.
So you can connect with them if they come with a specific problem or specific issue or general one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. So first of all, let me explain what an intuitive guide does. So I read the energy of the physical and the non-physical, which means I'm able to see issues within people and situations before they are themselves, which really helps when you're stuck with clarity, direction, in trauma, don't know how to get out, don't know how to be happy. Don't know what your purpose is, all of that kind of stuff. So soul and purpose is what I work with. So the benefit of working with someone like myself, other than a counsellor or a therapist, which I don't denigrate, they all have a place, is that I instinctively am told by my guide, source energy, where the issue started. And I can say, this is what's happened. This is how it's affecting you, and this is how we can get out of it. And though I'm energy, I'm not like very woo-woo, I'm very practical, and I do believe that I do believe that, you know, every energy thing that you do has to be bound by a practical step, because we are the energy person and we are the human being. So the more that we act in a moment that feels comfortable to us, the more we shift the energetic patterns. And most people don't know how to do that. So that's what I help people do. So whether it's trauma, whether it's lack of direction, whether people feel stuck and don't know where to go, whether they're asking for validation because their intuitive senses have opened up and they're saying, does this feel right to you? And I can read to the same energy space they're coming from. And often I find in validating people's choices more and more, because we're becoming so much more intuitive. So there's all of that. And then the highest vibe thing you can possibly do, apart from love, is to be in a job that you absolutely love, like you beautiful women are doing, spreading the love, you know, making it inclusive, helping other women. If you're passionate about something, you really raise the being aspect of the human vibration, and then you get into flow. So when people don't know what their purpose is and things like that, I show them their purpose and I help them get into that, and I help them run a purpose-led business if that's what they want, if they want to do it for themselves. By the way, purpose isn't always running a business. It could be that you're here to be the listener, the observer, the mother. You know, being a mother is such an amazing job. It's just being present with your children. It could be that you tend to a garden or whatever. We all have an individual purpose, but the whole point is to reach that highest vibration of love and joy in whatever we do. And like I said at the very beginning, is I want everyone to win at wherever they're at. So the way that I work is I give you the steps to help you do that. How you can connect with me, the best place to find me, the easiest connection point is through Instagram at Miss Yasmin Ibrahim. If you go to my link in bio, there is a link there that will send you to online webinars, blogs, free YouTube, booking sessions, working with me, all the links are there.
Put all the links and
all the links are there, yeah. And it gives you a bit of a detail for each thing as to how it helps and what it does for you. So you should
also have an amazing newsletter.
Yes,
that everybody can join, because we receive it and we read it and we love it.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
So definitely follow and send a link.
Yeah, so that is actually in the link in the bio in Instagram, and you can opt into the newsletter. It goes out once a week. And I just give you a little mini recap of what's going on energetically, what you can do for yourself, what's going on. We're in for an action-packed November, so there'll be lots of, yeah, well, not just November, the next few months are pretty, you know, the roller coaster begins again. I think at the beginning of the previous lockdown, I said that when I did a forecast for the next kind of year, I said it will feel like a tornado and then a reprieve, a tornado and a reprieve. And whether that feels emotional, physical, or global, this is what's going to continue at least for the next 2 or 3 months before it starts to calm. Yeah.
It doesn't stop. Hi, Yasmin. You never stop as well. It's just you keep growing and fascinating.
Yeah.
So
You know, that's really interesting, because so many people say to me, does it ever stop? And I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, I don't want this. And I'm like, well, no. What happens is the more you learn to deal with it, the more subtle it becomes, the more easier it becomes. It doesn't have to be traumatic, it doesn't have to be hard. It does become easier. That's what happens, but it doesn't stop, because when it stops, we've become enlightened and we're probably Buddha and we've done our purpose, and
we're just like Walking Dead, like Walking Dead, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you know, purpose is just to live in joy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And we want to thank you, or we can't thank you enough for this.
Oh, pleasure.
No, thank you for the lovely conversation. Yeah, the tips,
yes, you never
the lights, you know,
the channels.
Yes,
every conversation with you, every session with you is really empowering and inspiring. And yeah, everyone who hasn't joined you yet, please join. Thank you, Yasmin, and hopefully on next time.
Yes. Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure, and please keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you
so much for having me as your guest again. Thank you.
Thank you.